Good morning and welcome back to Savuti. Well, you find us just making coffee and getting ready to leave camp as soon as we possibly can. The lions have been roaring very close to camp all night, and so with no time wasted, we got on the road, we got our spotlight out, and started searching for those lions. The lions were roaring from the direction of the waterhole, so we were pretty confident we would find them, and indeed we did. It didn't take us long before the eyes of a large male lion started glowing in the light of our spotlight. It was pretty cool that in less than 10 minutes we had come across one of the 4 male lions that make up the coalition of the Northern Pride. And he was a majestic lion, definitely in his prime, and just a really special moment. He was just relaxing there, I think waiting for the others to catch up with him. It didn't take long before, out of the darkness, his brother came over to say good morning. Little did we know, all around us, lying in the darkness, was the rest of the Northern Pride. And it was only late on, as the light began to get brighter and the sun started to rise, that we started to spot the little ghostly shadows and shapes of the other members of the Pride, waking up and stretching and heading over to the waterhole where they were playing. Having spotted the rest of the Pride, we started making our way over to the waterhole, where the rest of the Pride was frolicking and full of energy, playing and bounding around with one another. Lions are often the focus of a safari. So many people, including myself, we get up and we go looking for lions. And yet, so often we find the lions and they're sleeping. And your whole sighting with the lions is them sleeping. And if you're ever around a lion sighting where they're sleeping, you'll often find that everybody will start taking pictures at the moment one lion even just like opens a single eye, and everybody thinks, well, wow, some action, and you hear all the cameras go off. So this was special to find the pride of lions, the whole Northern Pride, so energetic, so alive, playing and just really being so busy and having so much energy. It was very special, and we just sat enjoying our coffee and spending time with the Northern Pride. As we enjoyed our coffee and watched the youngsters playing around the waterhole, we started to notice that the rest of the pride were slowly getting up and starting to move. It was very interesting to watch the dynamics, how the larger females took the lead and everyone else was expected to follow along. there was a little bit of reluctance. Some of the younger lions, the cubs, would lie down and seem to be distracted by sticks and bits of elephant dung, like this one over here. He seemingly didn't have any desire to keep up with the pride and decided to have a little lie down and observe what was going on around him. But he too was soon forced to follow along with the rest of the pride. One of the cool sightings with the northern pride was to see one of the male lions called Savuti, and this was a lion that I really wanted to see. Savuti is just one of the brothers, but he's easily identified by the fact that he's missing the tip of his tail. Here he is. He's a large male lion in his prime, but as you can see, his tail is missing. Is he any bigger than his brothers? Not really. His brothers are probably just as majestic and beautiful, but what is beautiful is to be able to identify this one, and him with his tail chopped off makes him easily recognizable. Now this shot I was filming here, and it would have been the most epic video clip probably of this whole film if my camera had focused. And I guess that's one of those things in low light and dealing with whatever equipment you have. You will have these moments where the equipment just cannot keep up, and that's what really happened here, and I was very disappointed. As the pride began to move, we had a choice to make. Do we try and keep up with the pride, or do we call it a good sighting and move on? Well, we followed them for a few meters, but by this point there were so many other safari vehicles jostling to get up to the sighting, and we had such a beautiful sighting already. We decided to say goodbye to the northern pride and spend the rest of our morning exploring along the channel, probably our favorite place, and so we didn't really mind heading over in that direction. There's a little section of road that takes you from the waterhole, the main waterhole, to the channel. It is very thick sand, and I often had to stop and put my diff locks in that little section. And so if you are heading over to Savuti, it is good to keep in mind that there are some incredibly sandy areas in Savuti, and you want to make sure that your 4x4 and your diff lock is working. For the most part, the roads are very drivable, and you probably don't even need 4x4. But there are these little sections which are very sandy, and you want to be prepared for that. But it wasn't long, as you can see, before we came across leopard tracks. And interestingly, this was very close to where we had seen the leopard the other day, as you saw in our previous video. And you can see there in my rearview mirror, we had another safari vehicle following behind us. I find personally, if I end up with a vehicle behind me, I normally just pull over and let them pass. This case was quite funny because we were tracking this leopard, and it turned out that he was also tracking the leopard, but he had been tracking it from a different direction, and so we kind of both bumped together in this one section. It turned out that the leopard had disappeared in the direction of Kudu Hill, and we lost track of him. But we did keep a good lookout, driving carefully along the edges, keeping our eyes peeled, looking deep into the undergrowth that lines the edge of the Savuti channel. Well, here you find me disengaging the diff lock. There's a little bit of sand as you come out of the channel, so I had engaged it at that section, but I don't like driving with diff lock on unnecessarily, so I took it out. We were following some tracks, and I had to actually make a little U-turn just up here, and making that U-turn I reversed into this tree, tree stump, and broke my tail light, and so picked up the little bits and pieces Um, but yeah, this is the second time for many of you probably have watched some of the other videos. You'll know this is the second time I've broken my tail light. Here at Rhino Flay, we had a really cool sighting. We arrived at Rhino Flay and then soon spotted this female lion, and she's of the marsh pride. And if you look carefully, you can see that she's carrying milk, and so it's clear that she must have some very small cubs very close by. And she was coming down to drink water at the waterhole. Of course, this meant having a bit of a standoff with some elephants. For me, this sighting was very special, and I think if any sighting of the ones we had during this trip was to be a bookmark or a cover for what is Savuti, I think this sighting is it. This is Savuti, at least for me. This constant struggle between the predators, the lions, and the elephants and other animals, especially the struggle over water. As you see in this case, we've got this female lion, she's all alone, she's got to drink water, she's got cubs to feed, but then there's a herd of elephants, and they too need water. They also have their young ones to feed, and there's this constant struggle between these two groups, these really two powerful groups of animals over the water source in Savuti. Well, there were a few too many elephants for her to uh, have a standoff with by herself. So she decided to come over and lie down right next to the vehicle where we were. This was a very special sighting. There was, in fact, only one other vehicle with us, and that was a Belmont safari vehicle. He was very polite, a very nice guide. It was nice to catch up with him for a little bit. Fortunately for her, the little herd of elephants that had taken over the waterhole soon began to move off, and so after lying next to our car for a little while, she decided to get up and start heading back over to the waterhole and try and get some water once again. This time she would only have to deal with one elephant, and this just was such an awesome sight, and the quality of the filming, I'm sorry, it's not the best quality because the light was just so harsh that it was really difficult to film in. But enjoy the clip. I love this clip. It just epitomizes the courage of lions, and this is one very brave and courageous lioness, and she doesn't back down at all. She knows she's got those cubs to feed, And she knows how important that water is, and she just stands her ground and drinks water. But as you can see in the background, as she's drinking, and this young bull elephant, it doesn't seem to mind that much. In fact, you can see he even is drinking himself, which just shows how relaxed he is around her. He knows she's there, but he's not unduly fazed by it. But this other herd is a female herd, and you can see the young and baby elephants along with the herd. And this is when things start to get interesting. Now watch that big male bull elephant, and watch his trunk. And notice how he rolls that trunk up and charges down. And he's not charging too seriously, but that is always a good indication when an elephant is charging you. Keep an eye on his trunk. As they roll up their trunk, it often indicates a more serious type of charge, while you'll often see with a less serious mock charge, they don't roll up their trunk when they charge. Their trunk remains down, and then they charge forward, creating a lot of dust with their feet. But that charge that you saw there, if she didn't back down, would have probably turned into a serious charge. Well, I think at this point our lioness realized that the water she had was the only water she was going to get anyway this morning, and decided to head back in the direction that she had come from, and no doubt back to check on her cubs. We too decided to use the opportunity to go. We decided to head over and find a place for coffee, and then we were going to meet up with our friends and go and find the wild dog den. We knew there was a wild dog den. Our friends, other friends had shown me on a map where to find it. And we had, of course, previously spotted the wild dogs hunting. So we knew they were around. And so decided that after coffee, which we had at the baobab tree at Bushman Rock, we would go and find the wild dogs, which was going to be super exciting. Well, after a lovely coffee break with our friends, we decided to head over to the wild dog den. And the wild dog den, please don't ask me for the location of it. I'm always happy to share like the hyena den and other sightings, but wild dog dens are very sensitive areas, and so people are not encouraged to share the location of these wild dog dens, and so I won't share the wild dog den. So please don't ask me. But if you do go to Savuti, the chances of you finding the wild dog den or having someone show you the wild dog den is very high. It's not difficult to find the wild dog den. A lot of people in Savuti know about these dens, and they will often be very happy to share those dens with you. But of course, I don't want to just share the location on the internet for everyone to know about. So yeah, please don't ask me for the wild dog den. But of course, if you do go to Savuti and you are in Savuti, the chances of you finding the wild dog den is pretty high. It was really nice to find them, and it was quite interesting because it was very cold, and they were just in a big pile on top of each other. There were like two piles of wild dogs, and they were just lying on top of each other trying to keep warm. And I think this was so cute. It didn't create the best photographs. It wasn't like a photographic moment. They weren't doing anything much, but it was really, really cute just to park off with these wild dogs and watch them sleeping in their little bundles, all cuddled up together. It was a very cool sighting. We didn't see any of the babies. When I have heard that there are babies, or at least there were babies even when we were there, but they were very, very small, and they stayed down in the burrows.
Bye.
Having said goodbye to the wild dogs, we made our way back towards the waterhole to check up on the lions. And we were very fortunate because we found the one male and the one female mating next to the waterhole. So please hide your children about now if you don't want them to have their innocence taken away from them. But yeah, it was a very cool sighting. And that is how baby lions are made. So now you know. But yeah, it was a very cool sighting, and it's actually probably a very common sighting. I think a lot of people find breeding pairs of lions, so it's not unusual. But it was very cool to see them, and a very cool interaction happened afterwards with an elephant. They were just relaxing here, as you can see, next to the waterhole, enjoying each other's company. And this elephant came over to drink on the other side of the waterhole. And you can see that this elephant actually has no tusks at all. So it's actually quite a funny looking elephant. It's not often you find an elephant that has absolutely no tusks. It doesn't really look like it ever had tusks. Maybe it was born without tusks, or somehow it lost them later on in life. But it was quite a grumpy elephant, actually, as you will see by what happened next. Now, I'm not sure if you noticed, as it charged, what its trunk was doing. But it's actually quite interesting because that was a 100% mock charge. There was no like killer intent behind there. But you can go back and have a look at that charge and take a look at its trunk and see it in comparison to the last charge that you saw. We decided to head back to camp. It had been a fantastic morning, a game drive. I mean, we had seen the northern pride in the morning. We had then found that female lion and her interactions with the elephants. We had then gone to see the wild dogs, come back, seeing the mating lions, and then seeing them get charged by that elephant. Absolutely amazing morning. And so it was time to come back to camp and make ourselves some good breakfast and enjoy a little bit of time in camp. The afternoon found us leaving for our afternoon drive. After having such an amazing morning, when you head out on an afternoon drive after such a morning, you really are not trying very hard. To be honest, you go out and you start looking at the birds and the sticks and the elephant dung, and basically just enjoying the small things because you've seen so much already. But this is Savuti, and Savuti delivers time and time again. So you can have a fantastic morning and then go out in the afternoon and just have another amazing morning and another amazing drive. This was at Bushman Hill, and I really wanted to walk up and climb and see the Bushman paintings, but I couldn't quite work out whether it would be considered safe or not. And so we decided against it. If you know, leave a comment if you know anything about going up to see those Bushman paintings. I've never been up to see the Bushman paintings. I really want to, but I don't know if you're allowed to just climb up there by yourself. It seems like it might be a little bit of a dangerous thing. There's a lot of leopards around, lions around. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you've ever been up to see the Bushman paintings, and how you went about doing that. This is just a quick stop to top up some oil. Our vehicle doesn't use a lot of oil, but I noticed that my oil pressure was a little bit low.
We are sitting here because this is where we found the leopard. Was it yesterday? Day before yesterday.
Yeah.
And almost every morning now we found his tracks following the same track that we found him on and that he walked. So it's 20 minutes before the time we saw him last, and so we're going to wait here a bit. I don't expect him to come walking out of these particular bushes. There's a nice herd of impala behind us that might be tempting, but I know there's more also up ahead. And so I think we're just going to wait here a little bit and then see if anything happens, and then loop around these hills a little bit. And if we find the leopard, we'll consider ourselves professional leopard trackers.
Yes.
So we'll see. 20 minutes.
Well, much to our disappointment, no leopard came walking out of the bushes. So I think we can safely say we are not professional leopard trackers. We're total amateurs. But we did spend a little bit of time looping around the section of bush, because we knew the leopard were in this area. We'd seen the tracks so often around here. We had seen him in this area before, so we knew that the chances of us finding him were pretty good. So we did spend quite a bit of time looping around this area, looking to see if we could find him. After searching for our friendly local leopard, we decided to move on back towards Rhino Flay. Of course, you remember in the morning at Rhino Flay we saw that female lion, and she was drinking water, having that standoff with the elephants. And this was amazing because as we approached the waterhole, we spotted her walking through the bushes, heading again to the waterhole. So it was perfect timing, and this time we were alone with her. It was just us and this beautiful female lion, and she just lay down next to a bush, once again waiting for the rest of the elephants to move away from the waterhole so she could go and drink. Being the evening, there were just so many elephants coming down to drink that there wasn't really an opening for her to go and get any water from the waterhole. And so she decided to patiently lie down and wait until the herds of elephants would move off. We too parked off there and spent a considerable amount of time just watching her, watching the herds of elephants coming and going. But after a while, we decided to make our way over to Maraboupan. Up until this point, we hadn't spotted anything really significant at Maraboupan, apart from lots of bones and tons of elephants. and so we wanted to see what would sunset be like at Marabou Pan. So we decided to head over there, and this was a very fortunate choice we made, because on our way to Marabou Pan, we spotted a vehicle just ahead that had stopped, a safari vehicle, and he indicated that we should look to our side, and there in the grass were two lovely cheetah. And this was, of course, very special, because it's not every day you see cheetah on safari. Now, if you are wondering why the footage of this cheetah is so shaky, that is because our videographer, my lovely wife, really loves cheetah, and she was very excited about seeing these cheetah, and as a result, it was very difficult for her to film. So excuse the footage. It's not bad footage, but it is a bit shaky at times, and that is just pure excitement. So yeah, but very awesome. There were two of them lying in the grass here, and we spent a bit of time with them, just watching them. They were just lying there. You could see they were waking up from their day and probably getting into hunting mode. As you could see, they started to get up and look over the plains. This was right on the edge of the marsh, and this makes a lot of sense because the marsh really is their home. How cool is that? And then the sunset and these beautiful cheetah. It was such a special moment. But of course, the one problem with Savuti is you got curfew, and we knew that if we were to make it from basically all the way from Marabou Pan back to camp, we would have to leave pretty soon, and so we didn't have a lot of time to spend with these beautiful cheetah. As the light was fading, the cheetah got up and started moving off. The sun was setting, time was running out, and we had curfew at 6:30, so it was time to turn around and start heading back to camp. It was a good thing that we left when we did, because we arrived back at camp with only 2 minutes to spare, which is not bad, but it was cutting it a little bit fine. So we made it back into camp, and one thing with camp at Savuti, it is very sandy, even just driving into camp, so we had to navigate through that. But it was nice to get back to camp and have a big fire going. And tonight was burger night, and our lovely friends, it was their last night with us in Savuti. They would be going in the morning, and we would have one more night in Savuti after that. So we enjoyed the evening with them, and then went to bed. Having been kept company by the roars of lions once again, we woke up bright and early the next morning. This was our last full day in Savuti, and so we wanted to make the most of it. Our friends would be leaving, but first we decided we should have a good early morning game drive and see if we could see anything happening. We spent our morning driving around Harvey's Pan. Now, on this trip we spent quite a lot of time in and around Harvey Pan, but not as much as I initially thought I would when I was looking at the maps and preparing for this trip. I thought I would spend a lot more time in Harvey's Pan, and in the end we didn't actually spend a lot of time there. We did go there quite a bit, but we spent a lot more time on the marsh, up at Marabou Pan and towards Rhino Flay, and not as much time in Harvey's Pan. But that just depends. Every time is different.
Like a jackal or something.
we soon came across the tracks of our favorite local leopard. And right here at the coffee spot by the baobab tree, he walked right past the baobab tree where we always stop for coffee. And I followed his tracks, and he walked right past, right next to the baobab tree, and then up onto the rocks of Bushman Hill. It was pretty cool to see. I love seeing early morning tracks. They were probably from the night before. Well, they were from the night before. But of course, today was our last day in CV5, the campsite, and it was also the day that our friends would be leaving us. And so we couldn't spend too much time. We had to get a move on and get back to camp. But on the way, we did stop by where we had heard the lions were, and we were able to spot them. They were in some very thick bush. We were just able to make out them, but it wasn't a good sighting. It was the Northern Pride, and they'd made a kill on a kudu, but it was very thick in the bush. If you look carefully here, you might just be able to spot them moving around. There they are, you can just see them. They're lying down on their kill. A lot of safari vehicles did, to be honest, go off the road a bit to see these lions, but we decided not to. And you know, if you do go off the road, one, it's not allowed, so you shouldn't be going off the road, but you also risk getting some serious punctures and damaging your vehicle, and then you get stranded out in Savuti off the road. And we find, like, if you are by yourself, and you're one vehicle, it's definitely never really wise to go off the road, because if you go off the road and you break down, nobody's going to find you. So if you stay on the roads, of course we're talking about outside the parks even, if you stay on the roads, at least if you break down, people will always be able to find you. Anyway, we got back to camp and started packing up. We were going to move down to CV10, which is a very nice campsite, and you'll see more of that later on. But we decided to pack up most of the vehicle, and then when we were there at CV10, we would just unpack what we needed for the night so that we would be able to leave early in the morning. The SKL campsite crew came to clean up the campsite for the next people, and we met up with our friends at the ablutions to say a friendly goodbye to them before going to find our own campsite at CV10. At Savuti, there is a small little tuck shop which has a few items, but nothing too fancy. We are now moved from CV5 to CV10. Much nicer campsite than the campsite we were in. And you will be asking yourself, why are we still here in Savuti when we were supposed to be leaving today? Well, thanks to some very nice people, Willem and Monique. Thank you so much, guys, for letting us have your campsite. And we're going to make the best use of it. So we have one more night here, and we're just going to take it very chill today, do a little bit of sightseeing, see if we can find maybe a leopard. That would be nice. But otherwise, we're just going to have a very chill day and leave early in the morning tomorrow. But we're going to have to set up our little camp. Very basic camp setup today, because we're going to keep everything packed up mainly. So we're just putting up our tent, bedroll, and then we're going to pack everything nicely so we can leave early tomorrow morning. And have a nice little game drive on the way out. Well, we got to work putting up our tent in double time speed, and I think we're getting quite good at putting up and down this tent, to be honest. On a recent trip we just did to the Okavango Delta, and there may be a video coming about that. We actually decided not to set up the tent, and we just slept on the roof of our vehicle. We put our bedroll on top of the roof and slept up there, and that was actually really comfortable. And where there's no lions and leopards, and wild animals, it's very good just to camp on the roof of your vehicle. So we did that. That was in the Okavango. But now with the camp set up, we decided to spend a little bit of time and get breakfast going. And we decided to take today very slowly. We had seen so many great sightings that we weren't chasing animals. We were just enjoying ourselves. We wanted to have a nice day, and our goal was just to have a really nice sundown at the end of the day and enjoy the day. So we decided to have a good start to our day by making a good breakfast. Of course, by this time it's around 12 o'clock, I think, and we're busy making breakfast, lunch, that kind of thing. That's some really nice slow-mo with the cooking. I hope you appreciate that. While breakfast was cooking, there were so many birds in camp. There were these francolin, there were so many different types of hornbills and starlings. It was so nice to have so many different types of birds in camp. So that was really cool. It was interesting, up at the top camp, we did have birds in camp, but it felt like down at the bottom camps, the ones with more trees, there were a lot more birds around. So breakfast today, scrambled eggs, toast, baked beans, and bacon. Pretty standard, but it was delicious, and I think we were pretty ready for a good breakfast at this time. And of course, some nice moscato. This moscato is, what is it called again? Jack Bruce's Jacks. It's something like that is the name of it. It's a very, very nice breakfast moscato. So if you're looking for one, look out for that moscato. It's a very nice one. Look at these birds. They're just everywhere. I decided to see if I could.
Bird and chicken. Bird and kitchen.
Yeah, I don't know what I was saying there. Something about a kitchen and a chicken. It's not a chicken, it's a kitchen. But yeah, we just had a very relaxed morning and then decided to go out for an afternoon game drive. We made our way across the marsh in the direction of Marabou Pan. I really like Marabou Pan. I think it's a really cool place. We didn't see any amazing sightings there in terms of having cat sightings, but it was a very busy place with regards to the elephants, and there's just these huge herds of elephants just coming and going, drinking at this waterhole. And so we decided to park off here at Marabou Pan and just watch the elephants and enjoy the afternoon. We made ourselves some gin and tonics. Please, Okavonga Gin, please sponsor me. It's a really good gin. So by the way, if you do like Okavonga Gin, if you do like gin and tonic, Okavonga Gin is a really nice gin, but it's also got a really good story. So yeah, we settled down with our cameras to enjoy the elephants. This is quite a funny clip. We filmed this for the video, just so you know, in case you thought this was us being natural. We did spend a lot of time just sitting here in the vehicle watching the elephants, but we did film this little clip for the video. So I hope you enjoy it. This is what we look like when we're just sitting and watching the animals. I really like this time lapse. One thing, when you start filming videos and you start creating videos, you go out and you're enjoying the safari, but you're also always thinking about how you can tell the story of your trip. You're always looking for those different angles, trying to portray things a little bit differently. And yeah, that little time lapse, I give it a 10 out of 10. Yeah, it's very interesting thing of filming, because I don't think we ever set out to film our trips. We just loved going in the bush, and then we started filming, but it adds a whole new dimension to our safaris. And I think personally that filming our trips has made us enjoy our trips a lot more. We really enjoy creating these videos. The creative part of it, which sometimes I think it doesn't look very creative because we're just filming roads. But we love it. We love creating these videos, and we're so glad that you guys enjoy them. So thank you so much for your support on the videos. We really appreciate it. And like I said in the last video, always appreciate your comments and likes and shares and all that kind of stuff. We came across some lion tracks here, which was very nice because this looked like they were the Marsh Pride's tracks. And as you've seen through the series, we did find the Marsh Pride, but they were very shy. We didn't see them a lot. We saw them once or twice. We saw that female yesterday morning, but apart from that, we hadn't seen many of the marsh prides. It was nice to come across their tracks to know that they were still around in the area. These kudu were pretty cool too. We made our way over to our favorite sunset area to watch the sunset and enjoy our last evening in Savuti. Back at camp, we got our fire going in CV10. It was the only night we stayed here, and it was a surprisingly quiet night. There were no lions to be heard. There's no jackals yapping in the background. So after having a lovely fire and sitting around and talking about our trip and our highlights, we went to bed and we slept soundly, and we woke up the next morning and packed down our tent. We don't usually wake up early in the morning and pack down tents, but this morning we did. We decided to pack down early and try and have a game drive on our way out of Savuti, and it was a great move. It was a very good decision we made, because on our way out we spotted a lovely pair of cheetah right by the Mababi gate. Now, I'm not going to show that footage in here because we've seen cheetah, and I will show those cheetah another time, okay? This is the end of the video now, so we're ending the video. Thank you so much for watching, and we really appreciate all the support you've had. I think I've been doing voiceovers for way too long, and I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support. We had an amazing time in Savuti. Savuti is amazing, and if you ever get the chance to visit Savuti, take that opportunity and go and visit Savuti. Our next video is going to be probably a little video about preparing for our next trip, which is going to the CKGR in the Kalahari. And in fact, I'm leaving for the CKGR Kalahari, not I, we are leaving for the CKGR Deception Valley in just a couple of days, and we are super excited about it. And so that is the reason why I'm pushing to get this video out, so that the video can be out, and when we come back we will start editing the videos for Deception Valley and Sunday Pan, which is one of our favorite places. We love the Kalahari. So until then, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, do all those things. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.